Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols, and I'm here to bring you our Nichols Worth. And today from Broken Yoke Publishers, we have the WEB in the Ecumenical Version and the Standard Version. So we're going to take a look at both of these. This is a Bible that I have been looking for in print for a long time. I really had a lot of trouble locating. This is a very small publisher, but this is the work of someone by the name of Michael Johnson. And he said that he was praying, God spoke to him about making a public domain translation with modern wording that wasn't under copyright so that it could be used without any restrictions. And this is the end result. And this is what they call recycled leather. Now, I don't know what the difference between recycled leather and bonded leather is, but I'm going to say it's similar. This feels very stiff, very cardboardy, kind of like you would on a cheaper bonded leather. You can check their website for pricing. They're fairly affordable, but the thing you have to understand is if you want a WEB in print, this is the only option. Now let's take a look. We'll first start with the Ecumenical Version, and it does have a couple little kind of clothy like ribbons. They're not the same width. This is not going to be like a super high quality made Bible. The goal of this is to get the WEB in print. Matter of fact, Michael Johnson, who is the one that put this translation together, said they're hoping to get better editions out in the future. And the way to make that happen would be to buy this edition and read it. I am actually going to read this translation. I have not read it yet. I do know it's from the majority text, and it's considered an update of the ASV, very similar to the New Jerusalem version. So you have your title page here, and there's a little presentation page. There's not a whole lot of colors, not a whole lot of bells and whistles. The preface, check that out. It's in kind of a blue text. I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh Lord, let's not let the Bible be in a blue text. I'm not exactly sure what font that is. It almost looks like a Helvetica type. But then when you get into the Bible itself, I was like, whoa, there's images in there. There's an image of Adam with a giraffe and a tiger. It has blue headers. Genesis chapter 1, a really generous font size. That looks to be about an 11-point font. 2-column, very limited notes. So you're not going to have a whole lot by way of notes. But this is pretty well laid out. But the paper is a little thin, and it is a bit ghosty. It's not going to lay flat. Again, this is a sewn binding, by the way. I did check, so you don't have to worry about it just being a glued binding. One thing that's really cool is they do start their books on a new page. So I do like that, but as you can see, using this page as an example, there is a lot of ghosting. It's worse on camera than it actually is, but it's still pretty bad. But you got your notes on the bottom, and then when you get into the apocryphal portion, since this is an ecumenical version, they're going to include the Apocrypha, and that is going to be after the Old Testament. So once the Old Testament concludes, it's going to move into Tobit and your different books of the Apocrypha. So that was an interesting choice considering this was designed to be ecumenical, because most who believe this is inspired would call this a Deuterocanon, not the Apocrypha, and they would put it within the Old Testament. So once you get to the New Testament, after you get through the Apocrypha, you're going to have your words of Christ in red, which I thought was an interesting choice. And I'll tell you this, that is a pretty good red letter. And I don't know where they got the images from, but they remind me of those old children's books you would get, the Bible stories, where they're very cartoony. The blue accents let you know where the notes and references are. They do have a little bit of references to the Old Testament in the New Testament. And then once you get to the end of your Bible, you have a little glossary, which is pretty impressive considering this was put together by a single person. And then you have some maps at the end. I'm going to go ahead and show you sort of the guts of this littler guy here. This is not your ecumenical version, so this is not going to include the Apocrypha. It's going to look very similar. You're going to have your title page in the beginning. You're going to have the blue introduction and preface, and you're going to have that same layout with a little bit of a smaller font. I'm going to say that looks to be about a 9-point font. And you're going to see also that this does indeed have those images. Is this the absolute best Bible I've ever seen? It is not. Is it super well constructed? It is not. But what it is an opportunity for you to read a Bible in a translation that wasn't formerly in print. So now we actually have an in-print version of the WEB. I wouldn't mess around and get this rebound. I would wait until they get this a little more solidified. But according to Michael Johnson, the translation is now stable. They have corrected several of the errors, and he's taken input from other people in order to bring balance to the translation. He's also talked about how he reads multiple translations. On the end screen, I am going to link two videos that you need to watch from Dwayne Green's channel, where he interviews the editor and the main driver behind this and really explains his philosophy and how this happened. He used a lot of automated stuff, and this was originally called the ASV 97, but he ended up not liking that, so he changed it to the World English Bible. Very interesting story. Really, seriously, check out those videos from Dwayne Green's channel because they are very informative. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth.